Major news for the Batman Part 2. So I just found out that the main villain is... So perhaps not, but we do have some very intriguing rumors to go over with regards to the Batman Part 2. We also have some very interesting teasers for the Penguin series with regards to a Gotham Gazette newspaper that was found on the set teasing something or another, and I would love to pick your brains about this one. Also, would you be interested to see Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn in the DCU? Because we might very well get that. We have the Flash movie getting some praise, but from somebody I don't think we really expected. And also, Shazam is flopping in the box office, so we have to check that out. I really appreciate your support on this channel. So if you like what I do here, well, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you do hit that like button, I'm going to personally march into the GCPD and get that file and tell you exactly who... Goddamn Dory, she keeps shutting me down. But anyway, story number 1. Now, I do want to preface this with, please take this with a huge grain of salt, because this is a rumor. But as I've said to you guys, as we get closer and closer towards November, the production for the Batman Part 2, that's when it really kicks off. We will start hearing about it much sooner before that, because a long story short, as I've said in previous videos, in January 2020, they started production for the original Batman, and we were hearing stuff about it, concrete stuff, rumors, teases, scoops, around plus 5 months before that date. Now, we're not quite there yet, but I still want to entertain a couple of things like this, because you never know, and we can compare it later down the line. So this is coming from the Direct, and they say the Batman's original villains are reportedly back for the sequel. So they say insider Daniel Richmond, Daniel RPK, some of you may know about him. Now, what I will say is his reputation is he has got some things right, and funnily enough, deja vu. I remember covering rumors years ago now for the original Batman Part 1, and it's a really weird experience, because here I am here again talking about another Daniel RPK rumor for the Batman Part 2. There's some things he got wrong, saying like the Batman would be R-rated and whatnot. It wasn't R-rated, even though in the UK actually it had a higher rating than the US, but still not quite R-rated, and other things. But there were some things that were right, and this particular rumor that we're about to dive into, don't worry, I'm not going to waste much more of your time, is actually very, very plausible. So I just wanted to talk about it anyway, because it actually can influence one of the Batman spin-off shows. So they go and say, insider Daniel Richmond reported on his Patreon page that Paul Dano and Colin Farrell are set to reprise their roles as Riddler and the Penguin, respectively, for Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2. Now, obviously, we knew that Colin Farrell is going to be in the Batman Part 2. He's got his own freaking spin-off show, The Penguin, that's filming right now. We're about to get into the next topic and story with that set teaser that I teased at the beginning of this video. So yeah, he's going to be in it. Like, he's elevating up to Kingpin status. It's kind of obvious. But Paul Dano's been on our minds ever since we saw him go into Arkham, and we had that ending scene with none other than him and Barry Keoghan's Joker, saying, you know, you did so well, you know, Gotham loves a comeback story. Ever since then, people have been expecting whether they were going to kind of not necessarily do it in the second film, maybe tease it a little bit, but mainly in the third film, but the main thing being an Arkham breakout. Now, I believe the Patreon post says something like Paul Dano and Colin Farrell have officially signed for the Batman Part 2, but like that's not correct. Like, it's not official, but he's saying like behind the scenes they've officially signed on for the Batman Part 2. The reason why I wanted to mention this anyway is because it really wouldn't surprise me, and this is why. We know that we're getting an Arkham Asylum spin-off show. It's going to be like this haunted house that is Arkham. We don't know what the premise is, unlike the Penguin series, but it can go in all kinds of areas. And there's one thing that Matt Reeves said quite a while ago that is stuck in my mind for the longest time, that has fueled a lot of the theories, the fan theories as to how Joker could appear in the future, as well as Paul Dano's Riddler. Now, way back when talking about Joker, in terms of could Barry Keoghan's Joker pop up again at some point in the future, Matt Reeves said there might be places. There's stuff I'm very interested in doing in an Arkham space, potentially for HBO Max. Now, before I carry on, even in of itself, right there, that first sentence that he said, he's saying, I'm interested in basically bringing Barry Keoghan back for the Arkham Asylum spin-off show. When he says there might be places, there's stuff I'm very interested in doing in an Arkham space, potentially for HBO Max. We know we're getting an Arkham freaking Asylum spin-off show on HBO Max. It's got a showrunner. We know that he's writing, I believe, a few episodes as well. It's kind of obvious. He goes on to say there are things we've talked about there, so it's very possible. It also isn't impossible that there is some story that comes back where Joker comes into our world. And what I would take that as comes into our world, possibly out of Arkham and into the Gotham world as seen in maybe one of the sequel movies, instead of just staying as a unseen Arkham prisoner, if you will. Now, link that back to the first movie with the evident tease. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it certainly foreshadows when Joker says, one day you're on top, the next you're a clown, and, but Gotham loves a comeback story, and how he's going to be a friend to the Riddler. I do believe, and I'm not mega concrete on this, but I believe they are 100% exploring a possible storyline they can go down where Joker and Riddler do escape. This might not happen in the second movie, though. So this is where we link it back to the rumor that we're hearing for the Batman Part 2. Now, obviously, again, Colin Farrell is to be expected, but Paul Dano. So how would this happen if, let's just say, Barry Keoghan's Joker and Paul Dano's Riddler do not break out in the second movie? Well, we could get more kind of little scenes that set up the Arkham show, just like how the end of the first movie set up the Penguin. We even had Batman's little monologue at the ending saying people are going to claw for power for anything that they can grab, given the power vacuum that Carmine Falcone left behind. So in the second movie, I don't know what events could transpire, but it's going to be a whole other 2+ hour Batman movie, and it could end with a possible Arkham situation going on. And as a result of that, Matt Reeves might implement a couple of scenes that could be very, very, very short, possibly with Paul Dano appearing once again, and maybe Barry Keoghan's Joker. And what would that do? Just like the Penguin at the end of the first movie, as the movie was coming to a close, well, it would set up the Arkham Asylum HBO Max show. Now, I do not know this either, but I've always thought, just like how the Penguin is going to bridge the gap between that of the Batman Part 1 and the Batman Part 2, I do believe that Arkham Asylum on HBO Max, another spin-off from the Batman, could get the same treatment, serving as the bridge between the Batman Part 2 and in the final movie, the Batman Part 3, where you might have a very dangerous situation that during the events of the Arkham Asylum show after the Batman Part 2, maybe there is that comeback story or the breakout that leads to the comeback story in the Batman Part 3. Again, this is total speculation, because this is suggesting that Riddler and Joker could break out and cause, a united, anarchic, chaotic plot for the Batman in the final movie in this trilogy. But you can't deny there was certainly set up for something like this. We can't deny we are getting an Arkham show. We can't deny that Matt Reeves says there might be places. There's stuff I'm very interested in doing in the Arkham space, potentially for HBO Max. Now, this is way back when, and we know we're getting it now. And that was an answer with regards to asking, could we see Barry Keoghan's Joker again? Now, as for Paul Dano's casting in the second movie, or returning, that is a rumor. We don't know that for sure. But I just wouldn't be surprised if they want to set something up that allows the Batman universe to continually grow. So the scene would be set up in the second movie, could be tiny, but once again bleeds out into another spin-off show that keeps the universe cooking, just like the Penguin will, right up until the next movie's release. So I would love to know your thoughts on this. People have been speculating about a Joker and Riddler alliance ever since we saw the movie, but what do you think that this could bring? Now, the next story in related Batverse news is that there's a post on DCEU Leaks where somebody said, found a newspaper from the Penguin set in New York City, was completely soaked so I couldn't open it, but the headline is about missing scientists, and on the other side is a picture of 2 Asian actors dressed as scientists. Now, you can see the photo here. Now, what I find interesting about this is that it could mean nothing at all, because, for example, on the set of the original Batman, there was all kinds of things. There was newspapers that blatantly hinted towards Superman saving a bus full of children, and then the blur just sped away in the sky. I think they even referenced Metropolis or coming from Metropolis. So there's all kinds of little things that production like to have fun with there. So this could be a similar similar thing, but you never know. This newspaper, granted that it could just be a genuine story where scientists have gone missing in Gotham. I mean, Gotham's a crazy place, but it could be an Easter egg, maybe a foreshadowing for a possible plot being set up for the sequel movie, or it could be actually referencing a plot point in the actual Penguin show where something is going on and for some reason some scientists are going missing. Now, when I look at this picture, it's kind of hard to read out what the headline is. I wish the original post, I mean, they said it was kind of hard to read because it was drenched, but it says missing scientists cause, and I think that says international tension. I just am wondering if this did mean something bigger. Could they belong to somewhere like GothCorp or something like that? But I really don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I can already see the comments saying, Boba, this is just nothing. It's probably just referencing something like a little Easter egg that won't amount to anything. But I just thought I'd chuck it in here. Have fun with it. What do you think that this could mean, if anything at all? Let's enjoy the speculation. But at the same time, don't get too carried away. So the next story is with regards to Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Now, as we know, this new DCU is a soft reboot. We are keeping some actors in this new DC universe. For example, Shazam is kind of up in the air right now, but Amanda Waller is continuing on, the Peacemaker squad, maybe Aquaman and whatnot. But there are other characters that are very much so up in the air. So a fan asked James Gunn on Twitter saying, will you work with Margot Robbie again? And he says, for sure. Now, James Gunn is pretty much busy with the DCU moving forward. So while you could argue he could mean like, oh, I plan on working with Margot again. I'm not saying in what capacity, though. It could be to do with this movie that is somewhere all the way over there. Nothing to do with DC. But to me, this is evidently about the DCU. So how would you feel about Margot Robbie staying on as Harley Quinn? Because arguably, she could have been recast. We just like Superman, we could have got a different Harley Quinn. And the thing is, if she is very well staying on, what project could that be in? Also, I wouldn't be surprised with this soft reboot, like new Superman actor and whatnot, new Batman that we're getting in Brave and the Bold, that Jared Leto's Joker would not exactly be canon in this DCU. But what would that mean for Joker in the DCU? Would Birds of Prey be canon, or would there kind of be a little bit of a retcon with regards to how in Birds of Prey, Joker and Harley broke up, but does that still count in this new universe? But he's still out there, but just in a different casting. So would that story still continue? And would we see Joker again, like 6, 7, 8 years down the line, sometime or way after Brave and the Bold? What do you think about this? How would you like to see Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn implemented? How do you think she could be? Do you want to see like a Poison Ivy storyline in the DCU? Just let me know. Now, the next story I wanted to talk about in this video is just something that you probably already heard, but I just find it fascinating. It came out a couple of days ago, and the headline is as follows from The Hollywood Reporter. Tom Cruise has seen The Flash, and he loved it. A conversation with Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav led to a private screening for Cruise at his Beverly Hills home. Now, if you sift through the story a little bit, they go on to say sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that Cruise has seen the movie and loved it so much that he cold called the movie's director, Andy Muschietti, to rave about it. So in late February, according to several sources, Cruise had a meeting with Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav. Zaslav was essentially raving about how great the movie was. Cruise curiosity piqued, then asked to see it. Zaslav granted this, and a copy was sent over to Cruise's home. And as an insider says, this was no casual messengering. A Warner's employee brought the movie to Cruise's home in Beverly Hills and stayed until the actor finished watching The Flash. And it's kind of funny. It's like, it's Tom Cruise, but imagine being that Warner Brothers publicist or representative going to Cruise's home in his, I'm sure, theater room and just standing there, like making sure he doesn't like record a bit and send it around. I mean, he is Tom Cruise, but I guess, you still need to make sure. But if I was that guy, I would have kind of felt awkward. Just be like, okay, Mr. Cruise, I'm going to sit here with you and watch the whole movie. I hope you enjoy it, but you better not freaking record anything. But they go and say that Cruise was so taken back by what he saw that soon after, he reached out to Muschietti. It was a call out of the blue for the director. Cruise is said to have raved about the movie, saying something to the effect that The Flash is everything you want in a movie, and this is the kind of movie we need right now, according to insiders. Now, a lot of people are saying, like, how did this story come out? Why is Tom Cruise even seeing it? Again, I guess it's because he's Tom Cruise. For some reason or another, he was talking to Zaslav about something, and then The Flash came up. Now, the insiders, according to insiders. It does make you wonder, and some people have been suggesting if Warner Brothers wanted this to be a story and maybe they gave it to the Hollywood Reporter, which I wouldn't blame them for, because in of itself, it's not like a monumental kind of revelationary story, but it is just still something interesting to read. Like when it came out, my whole timeline on Twitter was just talking about it. So if WB have the opportunity to kind of put to the press, like, hey, Tom Cruise, the guy, as it says even here in the article, who saved cinema and Hollywood's ass, and you might have saved theatrical distribution, Steven Spielberg told the actor, with regards to Cruise, like pushing to keep Top Gun Maverick in theaters and not streaming because of that whole pandemic drama that was going on there. But from their point of view, if they can get a story out there that people are going to talk about, that Tom Cruise, like this movie legend, loves this comic book movie, The Flash, then it does give some good attention to it. And it's also not surprising, even if you take this whole story away, that the Flash movie, time and time again, for like the past year plus or so, ever since test screenings were going down, remove Ezra Miller drama aside, I've probably said that 1,000 times on this channel, like if you take that aside for 1 second, again, the product that was made here is still reportedly something that Warner Brothers has so much faith in terms of it being like a really, 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 really good movie. Now, the thing about that is, and the thing about putting stories out like this, is people are going to be going into this with really high expectations. And I think that was already the case because we've been hearing, again, that this movie is really, really, really good. And then you keep hearing it. Now, there's a whole article with Tom Cruise saying how much he loved it. Everything you want in a movie. This is the kind of movie we need right now. So either way, a kind of unusual story. Do you think that Warner Brothers kind of wanted this out there because, given, even though that this movie is apparently behind the scenes test screenings meant to be a great one, they want to still try and distract from any kind of bad press that Ezra Miller has brought to it. So as a result, any kind of thing like this, some people might think, if Tom Cruise is raving about it, I'm going to see it. Let me know any and all thoughts you have about this. And lastly, for today's news roundup video, I wanted to end on Shazam. So with the Hollywood Reporter here, they say box office, Shazam Fury of the Gods opens to dismissal 30.5 million domestically, which they go on to say is well behind the 53.5 million domestic opening of the first Shazam in 2019, not adjusted for inflation, and for a worldwide start of 65.5 million. And that's one of the worst starts for a major Hollywood superhero film, as well as one of the worst for a title in the DC cinematic universe, including those released during the pandemic. Fear of the Gods cost at least 110 million to produce before marketing. And then you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score. I know people don't care about that. Some people do, some people don't. Critics are giving it 52% right now, whilst the audience score is 88%. So a similar kind of story to Black Adam there with regards to critics being like, yeah, but the audience like, actually, no, I saw it. Those who have seen it, and it was a fun time, like me. And check out my no spoilers review if you haven't already. And firstly, with regards to this, if you've seen it already, let me know down. My voice is already going in the comments below if you enjoyed the movie. But also, I want to ask you, why do you think that this movie is failing? Now, the first movie didn't do amazingly well, but do you think that the second movie, people just weren't interested? The marketing maybe just didn't really do it for them? But do you think the fact that the DCU or DCEU has been soft rebooted, Henry Cavill's gone, all of that stuff, Black Adam teasing Superman, all of these new projects being announced, everything like that has kind of compounded on this negativity for the remaining DCEU movies? Because I've seen it time and time again, people say, I don't care about Shazam, Fury of the Gods, even Aquaman, the Flash movie, Blue Beetle, just no, borderline boycotting. But even if you're not that extreme about it, there seems to be a bit of, and I'm not talking about comic book fatigue, but DC, like Warner Brothers Discovery fatigue, in terms of the way that they've handled their universe. Do you think that this has heavily or just additionally put a bit of a strain on this movie ever doing well? Because I'm putting reviews aside for 1 second. I'm talking about the fact that people aren't even going to see it in the first place. Now, with Black Adam, compared to Shazam's critic rating of 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, that got 39%. But I believe for that movie, other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, everyone knew that Superman was going to be in it in some way, shape, or form. And that's probably also why it performed a bit better compared to Shazam, which critics are saying is better whilst they're not giving it a great score. So again, I would just love to know your ideas here. Let me know once more if you did enjoy the movie, if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, why haven't you seen it? Are you just not interested? But with that being said, are you obviously going to go maybe see the new DCU movies? But why does that make you not want to see the remaining DCU movies? Or are you going to still see The Flash and Aquaman, but you just don't care about Shazam? You didn't care for the first movie. There's a lot of reasons as to why this could be tanking the way it is. But that's everything I've got to talk about in today's news roundup video, guys. So let me know your thoughts on every single story. I read every single comment. Might not be able to reply to every single one, but I do reply where I can. I do heart the comments where I can. So I can't wait to see what you have to say. If you've made it to this part in the video, please, please, please leave a like on it. If you're brand new here, maybe consider subscribing for all kinds of videos just like this. Check out my review for the CW's Gotham Knights yesterday, even if you weren't going to check it out. If you're a fan of Batman and want to see what the CW have kind of done here, should be an entertaining video. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the DCU in the next video. Goodbye.